Okay, gents, let's now focus on some big games coming up in the Premier League. The Premier League's back after the international break. We all love it when it returns. And my word, what a return. We have two massive derby games we're going to focus on. We've got the North London derby, Arsenal against Tottenham. Both those teams are flying. And we have Manchester City against Manchester United as well. But let's focus first on Arsenal against Spurs. That's coming up on Saturday. I mean, this is massive. I can't even work out what to focus on first in this game because both these teams are right at the top of the table. I mean, Arsenal sitting top. Obviously, Spurs can go up there as well. This doesn't happen that often with these two teams, Nick Mendola. So what are we focusing on most here? Because the key battle in this game, I think both defenses look really solid so far. Going forward, we know they have lots of attacking weapons, but it's almost in midfield, right, where this battle and this derby is going to be won and lost. And it's going to be the heat of the battle there at the Emirates. I'm delighted to say as well, I'm going to be there at the stadium at the weekend. So I cannot wait to be in North London for this one. And yeah, by the way, we already know this. These two teams, their fans, their players, they do not like each other, do they? So what are we looking forward to in this game, Nick?
Joe, could it possibly be as entertaining as the United States men's national team against Saudi Arabia? I'm not sure, but I will tell you this. We've got Arsenal and Tottenham near the top of the table and legitimately there, performance-wise, overlying metrics, underlying metrics, lost super metaverse metrics. Both of these teams look good in their own way. I say in their own way because I think we knew Tottenham was going to at least be sorted out. We didn't know how good they were going to be this year, but we had the faith in Conte. That he was going to get enough points to have them in the discussion for some of their season goals. Arsenal right now has lost one game, and even in that game showed us something. I'm interested to see when this Arsenal backline goes up against Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, and those midfielders you mentioned behind them, because as Andy has pointed out so many times, they've changed the culture around Tottenham. We knew they had the attackers, but those horses, for lack of a better term, in the middle of the park, that Arsenal, we know they have that too. I mean, I just want to ask the Tottenham fan, not to interject here, but where do you feel the midfield battle sits?
Well, I think personnel depends a little bit. Yeah, so some injuries for Arsenal right now might have them a little bit shorthanded. Yeah. I think for Spurs, that I keep waiting for Bissouma to come into the starting lineup. Yeah, whether it's Højbjerg, whether it's Bentancur, whoever it is, it feels like that is the piece that eventually at some point, I think, comes into this team and kind of almost takes the training wheels off, if you will. It feels like Conte is kind of babying them along slowly, very defensive, very solid, the principles and all of that, just very difficult, proving in the Premier League, at least, impossible to beat thus far. And so I think that's going to be what's the real challenge for Arsenal in this game, because the quality the Spurs have, they're in the middle. They can break up play, unlike a lot of Premier League teams right now. It's a lot of very, very kind of aggressive midfield teams, especially at the top of the Premier League right now. Spurs have gone the other way completely. And so it poses a completely different challenge, I think, to anything that certainly Arsenal have seen thus far in the season, but to what I think most Premier League sides will show anyone this year.
Andy, it's kind of a tactical battle, really, isn't it? With that 3-4-3 for Spurs and then a 4-2-3-1 for Arsenal. It's going to be a lot of fluid attackers there. Gabriel Jesus, Saka, Odegaard, and others just kind of drifting around there. It's going to be difficult for Tottenham's defence, I think, that three-man backline, to know when to come out, when to follow a man, when to sit back. I mean, what do you think about that particular kind of battle, I guess, in that area of the pitch?
Yeah, and I think that's why Gabriel Jesus has had so much success so far for Arsenal this year, why he's immediately started scoring goals. Is like, we know he's being deployed nominally as a center forward, but we've seen so much of him over the years where he is really, really strong, is playing kind of that secondary role, and they might not have anybody else to kind of step into that role up top, but he's still finding those spaces. He's still attacking fullbacks one-on-one in the way that he used to do for Manchester City. And so when you've got a center forward who's one, as versatile as that, but two, as talented and confident. I mean, the goals that he's scored this season are not tap-ins. They're not just a bunch of beautiful passing and somebody putting on a plate in front of him in the goal. He is scoring, to use Nick's word, legitimate goals. And so, like, to see both of these teams, I think, in the form that they're in right now, I don't think there's any question definitively two of the three best teams in the Premier League right now. And if you look at all the numbers, there's a case to say that while Manchester City probably have a much higher ceiling, that these two match them for the floor, if you will, that the very, very worst performance from either one of these teams is going to match something close to the very, very worst performance of Manchester City. Even when they're not at their very best, these two teams are very difficult to beat. And that has never, ever been the case for either of these clubs. And the fact is, at the same time, it's really, really exciting.
It is, and it's been building up. The end of last season, obviously, Conte came in. Tottenham just pipped Arsenal right at the end of the season to finish in the top four. We all know how that went. This rivalry has been great, but like you said, Andy, over the years, one's been good, one's been down, vice versa. But Nick, they're both right up there at the top of the table at the start of the season. It's early days, don't get me wrong, but does any of these North London teams, in your opinion, have a chance of staying in this title race? And do you think both of these teams finish in the top four this season, Nick?
Oof, that's a good one. That is a on-the-spot question. I'm going to say yes. I think there's a chance, a very good chance, and above more than 1 in 3 chance that both of the teams make it into the top 3. The reason I say that is I've just been kind of looking at the rosters around the league, and both of these teams have a chance to be there when we get to the World Cup break. And we're going to have fan bases and coaches and pundits sitting on the table for that long. So I would actually go say that to be in the top 4 in about 2 months' time is a huge, huge thing, because the momentum, it's not going to be momentum in the way we think of it, but the opposite of that, and how you could feel about your team's chances if you're outside the picture. And, during the World Cup, you're loading up the table while you're watching your favorite player and you're like, yep, still in 6th. I really think it can affect an entire community.
Positive vibes for sure early in the season for both of these teams. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do battle this weekend, and the aggressive nature, I think, of taking the lead and kind of making a statement early in the season for both these teams is going to be really important. Quick predictions, Andy Edwards, Tottenham or Arsenal, or a draw?
Spurs haven't won at the Emirates since 2010. It's a pretty long time. There's a reason. They've had good performances in the past and gotten draws out of them. They've had good performances and gotten losses out of them. It feels like this is a bit different, though, because it feels like this is the game that Conte was brought in, the kind of setup and the kind of battle that he was brought in, and he relishes, I think, in a way that a lot of other managers don't. And so the X factor, the preparedness, the intensity, maybe a slight advantage to Spurs there, but I think in the end, it probably just works out to a draw.
I'm going to go with you actually on this. I think it's going to be very similar. You remember when Tottenham went to Chelsea the start of the season? I think Arsenal will have a lot of the play, create a lot of chances, but I think there's a doggedness and a grittiness about Tottenham now under Antonio Conte that they're going to battle back in a game like this, a rivalry like this. You need that. So I hope it's a 5-5 draw or something crazy like that. But I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Andy's like, no, please don't. Nick, what's your prediction for this game?
I want to say 1-1, but I'm going to say this. I think with the week that Kane and Dyer just went through with England and how important they want to be, just makes me think that maybe Arsenal might have a little bit more freshness and positivity. So just to break up the draw thing, because when we do our picks on the website, I'm going 1-1. I will say Arsenal gets a winner.
There you go. Hopefully football will be the winner, because I think this is going to be a great game this weekend. Again, I'm going to be there at the Emirates, and over on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com, we'll have previews, how to watch information, recaps, analysis. We'll have you covered ahead of a massive North London derby. What a game this is, gents. What a start to the season for Spurs and Arsenal. As you can tell, cannot wait for this one in North London this weekend.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.